All right, moving right along through the airway and breathing course here. In the blind intubation unit, we've talked about nasal. This one's on digital. Digital is, again, one of those rarely used things, something to have in your toolbox. Basically, you're going to use your fingers as a laryngoscope, so your patient must be deeply unconscious, no gag, and no way to come back to life and bite your fingers off. Maybe in a massive oral trauma or an entrapment situation, I don't know. If you've got RSI, you probably don't need this thing. I've heard of it being done in our system a couple of times, both in entrapment, extrication sorts of situations. Basically, a regular ET tube. I like to use a bougie because my fingers are too large, but you're going to use your long finger and try to grab that epiglottis and you use your long finger as a straight blade. You definitely want your capnography ready to go and the usual securing process. You place your fingers into the patient's mouth. I have to use my dominant hand. I can't seem to make it work the other way, but that's a little weird because my right hand I'm used to throwing tubes with. But you do what you can do. Either hand is fine. Use your long fingers as straight blade. Pick up the epiglottis. So just work your way down the tongue, pick up the epiglottis, and then put the tube or the bougie in between your index and long fingers and try to use your index finger to guide that tube where you want it to go. Again, I'm going to have to use a bougie. I've never done this for real. I don't know many folks that have, but I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that I'm going to have to use a bougie because there's just not enough room to get an ET tube and two of my fingers in this guy's mouth. But I'll use that bougie, which actually makes sense to me because this is a blind intubation technique, and the bougie is meant to feel where you can't see. So that kind of works in our advantage. So a rarely used technique. We'll practice it in the lab.